Hello, Darlene here. 4 years ago today, March 22nd, 2019, I had my first and only birthing story when we welcomed to this world my baby girl, Luna. So I want to dedicate this show to you. I love you and happy birthday. Hello, hello. Welcome to Mama's Playground. Don't you love our jingle?
I adore our jingle. It's awesome.
I know. So, welcome everybody. This is Darlene.
And this is Monica.
And what's going on, Monica? What are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about our birthing stories. Yay!
Nice.
So we know
nice for some and not so nice for others.
that is
probably.
true. That is true. There's some traumatic ones and then there's ones that are okay. But today we're going to talk about ours, a little bit about ours, right?
Okay.
So kind of we can compare, and I'm sure that there's a lot of different stories out there, Nobody has the same birthing plan
obviously.
or story or anything that's gone on. So the question of the day is, have you, or did you make a birthing plan for the birth of Luna?
Wow. I remember getting asked this so many times on my third trimester. And, this is, I only have one daughter. It was my first pregnancy, everything. And I was like, what do you mean birthing plan? Like, I'm just going to go to the hospital and have a baby.
And I'm going to pop her out. That's it. Or,
That's my plan. And then obviously you take classes and you kind of learn of what that means. But I remember they wanted you like to write it down, to print it and give it to the nurse. I think I did. But definitely I don't think it went according to the plan at all.
I don't think
How
it
about
ever
you?
does. It wasn't a plan. I was like writing things down, but I had an idea that I wanted to do everything completely natural. So meaning like no epidural, no nothing. I am too chicken shit though to kind of do a birthing at home. So I said, okay, I'll do it in the hospital, but I just want them to leave me alone in case, leave me alone, let me birth and, pop this child out of my vagina and just that's it. You know what I mean? And that was basically all I wanted. So in my case, it's a long story, so I don't want to bore you guys with all the little details. But again, I decided to do for my experience because I am a very angsty person and I'm always thinking like, what if? And everybody always seems to want to tell you all the bad stories. Everybody, like when you're pregnant, nobody wants to tell you the beautiful things. They want to say, oh my God, this. So because of that, oh my God, I almost had to go and I almost died during birth. And you're like, I don't freaking want to hear that.
Oh,
You know
I
what
have
mean?
a story about that. I'll let you finish.
I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't want to hear that. I'm the person that will run with it and go, oh my God, that's going to happen to me. Oh my God, what if this? What if that? So I said, no, screw this. This is something of nature. God gave me, I believe in God. So God gave me this child and I am going to birth it and I feel comfortable in my body. So I said, or I feel comfortable birthing, I am going to take hypnobirthing classes.
Oh, and I've never heard of that before.
Okay, so hypnobirthing classes, for those of you that don't know, it's basically that. It's like hypnosis while you're birthing, right?
Wow.
So
How does it go? Yeah.
they teach you, I'm here in Miami, so I ended up doing some classes over in Aventura with a company called Amazing Births. The lady's name, if I remember correctly, was Vivian, super nice lady. You basically go with your spouse.
And this is with Jacob, with the first.
With the first one.
Okay.
With Jacob, yeah. With the second one is another story. But with Jacob. So I remember telling Benjamin, I want to do hypnobirthing classes. I want to do this natural. I don't want any epidural. I don't want anybody to intervene. Like, I trust that my body will be able to do what it needs to do, right? That's at least my logic at the time. And we went to the hypnobirthing classes, and it's basically a lot of breathing techniques. A lot of kind of like getting out of your head and not like what ifing, which I do a lot of.
Yes, you do, Monica.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
I do. So I needed that. And I remember telling Benjamin, let's go. And he's like, oh,
What's that lady's name again? Can we bring her to the podcast?
Oh my God, maybe. Yeah, maybe one day we do another one and we bring her
Yes.
to talk about it.
Yes.
But it's a nice experience. You go with your spouse. It was I don't remember exactly how many days it was or how many weeks it was the hypnobirthing, but she basically teaches you how to breathe. She teaches your partner how to be there and massage your like back, your lower back if you're having
Oh,
pain.
I definitely want to call her. Can I call her even if
Yes.
I'm not doing the birthing?
I don't think so, but we can always try and like find out.
Yeah, I need a massage.
Do
Hint,
you?
hint, hubby.
Yes, yes, Fabian, if you're listening, which I know you are.
So okay, so this was a center. Would she come to your house, or you
No, no,
would
no.
go
I'd go
there
to her
and okay,
center. She had a center again. It's called Amazing Births in Aventura.
Aventura.
And I remember there was about 10 couples, right? And then she would teach you how to like use the birthing ball and like kind of like just flow with your body. Not have back labor. I don't know if you've given birth, you know that sometimes you feel all the pressure and all that in your back and so on. So she just gave you different techniques. Again, I'm not gonna like ruin it for anybody. You can look this up. But so we did these classes, and to get
How many months were you pregnant?
my story again is a little long because I did all these classes. I gave birth after 35, so I'm considered high risk.
Yeah.
So I was going to like a specialist, so that they can, see that everything is going well, blah blah blah. And at the last minute, like at week 36, they come out saying that this child is going to be humongous, that I'm not going to be able to birth him, that if I birth him, I'm going to rip from like, I don't know where to where. And so mind you, I did all these birthing classes, trying to trust in my body, trusting the experience, trusting what's going to about to happen. And, all of a sudden, they tell me this and they're telling me that I can't really have a natural birth, that I should have a C-section. So in that, I get in a fight with my doctor. I tell him, no, like, give me the opportunity to do a natural birth. I don't want to have a C-section. Not because I think that there's anything wrong with a C-section, just because I wanted to actually, have the experience of birthing. Yeah, if I could. So long story, get in a fight with him. I find a doctor at the last minute. She gives me the chance to actually have a vaginal birth, but I had to be induced in order to go ahead and do it. So she induced me at week 38, 39, I can't remember.
And that's amazing. She took you in at week
At the very last time.
36.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, more than that. It was like week 37, almost 38, and they induced me. It was at week 39. So she told me, look, you're coming to me at the last moment. You're coming to me at the last moment. I can only try to give you like the vaginal birth if I induce you. That's it. So I got induced. 30 hours into the whole process. I did do the epidural, all that, but I used the techniques of breathing and all that I learned in hypnobirthing to actually be able to birth my son. So there's a lot of details into this. I'm jumping. There's so much more to this, but I don't want to bore people with all the little details.
Yeah, but we should definitely will put information on this place because somebody that's listening or watching us, they might be interested. I've never heard of that, and it's something that I for sure would consider if I go for the other one, which I am.
Yeah. No, and that's I guess our topic of today is how many different stories there is out there, right? Like I know you had a C-section.
I had a C-section, and I mean, in my case, I think I was in shock my whole pregnancy because the month before I found out that I was pregnant, I was told that I could not have any babies, and I was 41, and the doctor, she did this over the phone, by the way, and it sucked because she said something about my numbers and no, there's no way that you're gonna have a baby, and she immediately tried to tell me, recommend me these doctors for IVF. Which now my opinion is that this it's a freaking business.
That is.
Because as soon as I told her, first I said, there's any way that my husband and I could have this baby naturally, like that we could have a baby? And she said, absolutely no. If you want to get pregnant, you need help. And I have a list of doctors, and at this point I had just moved to LA. So when I told her, oh, I'll probably get a doctor here in LA, she kind of like, oh, okay, well, okay, bye-bye. Like, that's it. And I said, holy shit. Like, she just basically hung up on me because I am not going to go to one of her doctors because obviously this is a back then I think it was like $25,000-$30,000 to get IVF. Now I think it's 50. It's gone up. But I said, wow, it could be a business. The fact that she kind of got mad by me saying I'm not gonna go with one of your doctors. So anyway, she said, but the fact that she said there's no way that you could naturally, get pregnant. And a month later, people, a month later, and I didn't do anything. I was stressing because I was looking for an apartment. That's all I did for a month. I got pregnant naturally, first try, and I don't know, like it. So when I found out, I've always wanted to have a baby, and for different reasons, I became a parent in at 41. But I don't know, like it kind of took away that moment of finding out you're pregnant. Because when I did the pregnancy test at home, I was in such a shock that it was just like this disbelief for 9 months.
Wait, let me back up a little bit because you're saying, okay, that you got pregnant on the first try, but you had issues previous, no?
No, not really. I have only one ovary because I
Okay.
had a tumor in my right ovary when I was actually on my left. What's wrong with me? When I was 5 years old, so it was removed. So I only have one ovary, and we had not started trying yet, my husband and I. But I went to check myself just to see how the numbers were going. The fact that they say that 35 it's already high risk. I was in shock because I
Yeah.
thought it was in the 40s, not at 35. So I just wanted to check my numbers and make sure, for whenever we do try, I want to see what's going on. So yeah, and then they throw me that bomb that I can't, and then a month later I am pregnant. And so it was just like overwhelming and in a beautiful way. I love my pregnancy. I enjoyed it. I love my belly. It was a really good pregnancy. And then we did the whole classes, and all this time I'm like, it's gonna be natural birth. And then I was doing all the searches of, should I do midwife? Should I do doula? Should I just go regular doctor? The fact that I was 41, I don't know, I wanted to go straight to a doctor. Maybe I'm completely wrong and you're listening to me, and you're like, you're crazy. No, doula and midwife is the same. But that was my choice. I did go through a doctor, and like I said, it was healthy pregnancy, and I thought it was gonna be natural until it was. Long story short, it's because I only dilated 8 centimeters. I didn't get to 10.
10.
So, and I remember hearing like, oh, it's gonna be a C-section, and I started crying. And my sister and my husband, they were telling me like all the benefits, and they just kind of put my mind at ease. And I said, whatever's best for the baby. And it was a C-section, and it was challenging because I had the epidural already. And you know how they tell you if you have pain, like keep pressing the
putting it.
button?
Yeah,
Girl,
yeah, yeah.
I was so high on that. I kept pressing it and pressing it because they said every 15 minutes. So I was like 14, 15, boom, okay, I'm getting a shot of happiness and numbness. So when they put the anesthesia, something happened. To this day, I've Googled. Even my doctor said, I don't know what happened. My whole body was numb, not just the bottom, which
Oh,
is
no.
what's normal. My arms were numb, my face. When they brought Luna to me, I remember I thought I was going to die. Like, I remember hearing the baby cry, and my husband saying, oh, she's beautiful, and it's 12:21. And I kept saying, he's going to be such a great dad. Because I was scared of like closing my eyes and not being able to wake up again. And it was just my whole, when they brought her, the nurse had to hold her because I couldn't feel my arms. And if you see my videos, it's just me saying like, I want to hold her so bad. I want to hold her so bad. I can feel my arms. I want to hold her so bad. And you see how everybody has like these beautiful pictures of, with the
Yeah, yeah,
baby.
yeah.
Girl, mine,
On
no.
your chest or whatever.
Mine was like 3 days later because I was swollen. So yeah, that birth story was, it was mostly that, the feeling of numbness and that I was gonna die, which thankfully I didn't. I'm here, I'm healthy. But till this day, I don't know what happened because anesthesia through the epidural, because once you have the epidural, they just put the anesthesia through the epidural. But if you go and use, like, there's the side effects have nothing to do with what happened to me. So to this day, I don't know. So if anybody listening has an explanation, please let me know.
I'm gonna add something in there, and somebody might go, "Oh my God, no! Don't say that. You're so wrong." Obviously, there's gonna be differences of opinions, but I start thinking like with the doctors. Like sometimes I think that there's doctors that want to rush. I'm not saying this is in your case, so I don't know exactly. I wasn't there. You know, your doctor knows why they do what they do, but I do feel that there's another business, which is C-sections, right? So especially here, so we have like a list here of doctors of like of doctors that deliver babies and all that have like a scale that they are either very, very, very up on the scale of doing C-sections, or they're like the 99% chance that they're going to give you a C-section no matter if you can or cannot. And then there's the ones that don't. And that's kind of like what happened to me. I was with a doctor that was more prone to wanting the C-sections, where my thing was, I don't want a C-section. And I know, things change and you have to go with the flow, but I felt it so deep in my bones that I could do this naturally. Like I had no issues whatsoever. I never got bloated, like not bloated, I mean like swollen or anything like that. And I was like, I could do this. Like, why is he telling me I have to have a C-section? Okay, so the baby's big, but my body's capable. Like, and again, maybe it had to do with the fact that I did the hypnobirthing classes, and it teaches you that your body is, capable of doing hard things. Let's put it that way. That's if you choose to do it that way. So I had that in mind. And, again, the doctor and we got in a fight. I ended up finding another doctor that took me.
36 weeks. I'm still amazed by that.
36 weeks. He basically told me when I said to him, please give me the option to do this vaginally. That's fine if you have to induce me, but I want to try this birth vaginally. Mind you, I want to say something. I am super, super like scared of surgeries. Okay, so this is nothing of like that. I think you're not a mother because you had a C-section. Like, no, that has nothing to do with it. Is that I am a chicken shit when it comes to surgeries. I rather pop the baby out through my vagina and deal with the shit that comes afterwards, okay? Because if you've done it, you know that things come afterwards. You can have everything intact, but I don't, okay? But that sort of thing, like I rather have done it naturally just because I'm scared of surgery, okay? And C-section is a major, surgery, to me at least. So long and behold, like sometimes I think that there's these doctors that do just want to push that on you. And for instance, I felt in his case, he just kept like fear mongering me into thinking that I was not capable of it. So in my birth story with this lady, I remember, okay, my child, this was like a 36-hour process, okay? I got induced, 24 hours just dealing with contractions and this and that. And at that time, I didn't want the epidural. I didn't take the epidural till the very next day, okay?
You don't know what you were missing, Monica.
Well, you know what? My second one's different, okay? You deal with it and then you learn and you know what you got. And there is no right or wrong answer. You just do what you need to do. Yeah. So long story short, my baby had pooped in me, and that's called meconia, right?
Meconia?
Meconia. And that's actually very, like, I didn't know. Obviously, I'm doing this for the first time. And they say that's very dangerous. So my mother-in-law was outside. My mom was outside. My mom ends up finding out that this child did that. My mother-in-law's freaking out, saying, oh my God, she's going to lose the baby. Like, everybody just starts freaking out in the waiting room. And my mom comes into the room and she's like, Monica, that's it. Just tell her. It's already been past 24 hours. You need to tell them that that's it. Like, you need to go and just tell her to take you downstairs and do the C-section. It's too long. She was freaking me out, right? And the nurse comes back and goes, what is the deal? Like, why is everybody here going like crazy? What's wrong? And I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I don't want the natural birth. Just take me downstairs. I just got to do a C-section. It is what it is. And she goes to me, stop. Like, she literally had to grab me and say, look at my face. Like, stop. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Look at the monitor. Yes, the child pooped, but his heart rate is okay. Your heart rate is okay. Stop. You didn't come here.
Out of the room.
They kicked everybody out. Yeah. Everybody out. And then the doctor came in. She's like, what's the fuss? And I told her what the fuss was. And she goes, and who's your doctor here? Are they your doctors? Like, she literally had to put me in my place because my mind was like already like, I give up. And she was like, you didn't come to me. You didn't do everything you did. Again, there's a lot of details to the story. To come to me to do this, somewhat of how you wanted, for then to kind of like give up and say, like, take me downstairs and do a C-section. So long story short, like, she put me back in my place. It was crazy. My mind was going in tangents. And I went back and I said, you know what? Shit, yeah. Like, I didn't come here for this. I could do this. And long story short, I did it. It was an hour of pushing. He came out. I ripped. Yes, it's true. Whatever doctor, I'm not going to say your name, that told me I was going to rip. Yes, I ripped. But you know what? I did it my way. I
Yeah.
dealt with the consequences later, you know what I mean? And I don't regret it,
Yeah.
I don't regret it.
And at
So,
the end of the day, like everybody's body's different.
yeah.
Everybody, it's if it was naturally beautiful, if it was C-section beautiful, like I wasn't even prepared. I didn't know much about C-section, so I
Yeah.
started crying, not knowing that if it's the best for the baby. At the end of the day, you just want this baby to be safe and be out, and never feel like you're less of a mother. I've never ever felt like that, and I encourage anybody that's listening, just because it's a C-section, just though this is another topic for another day. And just if you don't want to breastfeed, hey, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
I
don't do
agree.
it. At the end
I
of the
agree.
day, do whatever's best for you and for your baby. And as long as the baby's good, everybody has the right to choose, as long as it's what's best for you and for your baby. Like, no harm. And I wanted to say, when you were talking about that he pooped, have you heard of stories of? I've heard a few of women. They're pushing, and I know of one in particular.
They
She
poop?
threw up.
Oh.
No, she threw up, and that's when the baby came out.
Oh my God. No.
Obviously, that was not on her birth plan. She's not like, I'm gonna eat this and I'm gonna vomit the baby out. But again, it's like so many things can happen. I've heard about the pooping. I was ready. I'm like, whatever I do, honey, just know that there's gonna be a beautiful baby coming out. But yeah, I mean, it can happen anyway. Tell me about the story you had told me about mom up, that a doctor told you that.
Oh yeah, I skipped that. I skipped that whole part. I mean, basically, when I got in a fight with the doctor that I was seeing previously for the 36 weeks that I was seeing him, he basically, in that like meeting, that he said, you know what, you have to have a C-section. Like, there is no option for you. He said to me, I said to him, but can't you just give me that opportunity? And I kept asking, please. And then when it got to a point where he was annoyed, he said, listen to me, look at me. He's like, you just need to mom up. I'm sorry, but you need to mom up,
That's
because
crazy.
you're going to have a child, and you got to do what's best for your child. And here's the thing, somebody else may have said, you know what, doctor, I'm going to do what you say because I feel comfortable. And that's totally fine. I'm not a healthcare professional to tell you to go against what your doctor tells you. But in my guts, I felt, and in my being, and it's not just because of the hypnobirthing classes, it's just the way that I felt. I said, no, I know that this can be done for me vaginally, you know what I mean? And yes, I had to be induced. Yes, there was a lot of steps in between. That was not what I wanted, but I rode with the punches. But that last step of like whether I did it with a C-section or whether I did it naturally, like that, I did feel like the C-section wasn't for me. Like it's not. I knew that if something bad was happening in my trial of labor and shit, they couldn't. I couldn't, and they had to take me downstairs. Then I got it. Like I get why they would have to, do a C-section. Just like when Jacob, I had the meconium. I said, you know what? At this point, that's it. Okay, fine. Just take me downstairs. I'm gonna do it. It's not what I wanted, but let's do it. And the doctor's the one that said, hey, stop. You know what I mean? Sorry. I'm like, I got very like, in the moment, but she's like, stop, and I did it. I did it, and not in the way I imagined it, but I did it, and it was still a beautiful experience.
The way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Funny story. I love my doctor. This was in Burbank in California. He was awesome, and it's crazy because his office was like old and humble and like dirty. I don't know. It was a little small office, but dude, I mean, I loved him. He was.
But what did
He-
you love of him?
It was just he was like straight to the point. He was caring, and he was so chill. He was
Okay.
so chill. Like
He brought peace to you.
so much peace, and he was an older man. He actually retired like 7 months later. And it's funny because when I'm looking for doctors, because first I had started with one which I didn't like, because I feel like he wasn't even listening. Like when I met the first doctor, he goes, "Oh, where you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Puerto Rico." And he goes, "Oh, I've been to Costa Rica so many times." And I'm like, this doctor is not listening. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just, it's about you have to vibe with a doctor. And I definitely wouldn't want one that says, "Mom up." I'm like, are
Yeah.
you really serious?
No, no, no.
But anyway, but this other doctor, I really liked him. And even, I don't remember much because I was with the epidural anesthesia and all that. But my husband tells me, like, he did, that he was relaxed during the C-section, and he was so like, and that's what you want, because you have enough with your mom and your in-laws, like, ta, 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 plus everything in your head. So you want a doctor that will put, and nurses that will put your mind at ease. But that day, it was a Thursday, I go to his office, and I'm ready to go. Like, I was already, a lot of contractions, and I'm sitting at the office, and I'm like, like this, like forward, because I couldn't even sit straight. And
Mind you,
this,
she's straddling her chair right now. She's trying to show you can't
yeah,
see it,
I'm
but
trying to I'm trying to show you. You can go on YouTube. Pause it in the car, go on YouTube. No, if you're driving, you don't want to. But anyway, this lady was sitting there. I wish my husband would come right now and imitate her. And she goes, "Oh, you're having a baby? You're going to suffer."
oh God,
She
no,
tells me,
no.
"You're going to suffer," but with that with that
Raspy
accent.
voice.
I don't know if she was from Russia, Ukraine,
Oh boy.
but like this like strong voice, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
No,
My
no,
husband and I
no.
start laughing, and then the nurse comes and calls her because it was her turn, and she goes, "Don't say that to her," and I'm like, "Hey, I already heard it," and we think about that, we imitate her now all the time, because I'm like, why would you say that to me? And you know what's crazy? She was right. She was right, because I did suffer, with the whole numbness of the upper body. But anyway, I laugh about it because I'm like, who would do that? Who would be like,
No, can I please put a pointer out there? Please, 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 please. If you see somebody that is pregnant, please don't tell them horror stories. That is the worst thing that you can do. I hate that. Like, don't say, "Oh my God, I had a horrible experience. It's horrible. It's so scary." Why would you do that to somebody that has no choice and is there ready to give birth soon? Like, please don't do that.
yeah, everybody's experience is different, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And a takeaway for this episode is basically like, don't get married to a plan, because you never know. My advice would be, just be open to the possibility that everything is going to go completely opposite to what you dreamed of, to what you discussed with your midwife, with your doula, with your doctor, with your husband, with, at the end of the day. And I'm also a firm believer in God. It's He's the one that's going to say, like, "Hey girl, don't stress it, because this is the way it's going to happen." And one last thing I wanted to, yeah.
Oh wait, I wanted to say something in respect to like what you just said. But also fight for yourself, because I am a firm believer again that there's going to be doctors that have their plan and they just want to wham bam out like next person. Unfortunately, it's like that in a lot of cases. So always fight for yourself. Ask questions. My God, just because your doctor tells you that you can't do something, say, "Okay, but why? Explain to me." Like, don't just be, "Okay." I mean, if you're fine doing that, that's fine. But if there's something in your gut that tells you, "Let me ask," let me, like, why? Like, I have this doubt in my head. Ask. They're there. They're there to serve you, basically. You're not there to serve the doctor. Okay, yes, you take your doctor's words and you run with it, whatever, but question. If you have an and, if, but question, don't feel ashamed to do that. This is your birth. You know what I mean? This is your experience, and it hopefully is a beautiful one, not a scary one.
I wanted to ask you, because this was something that for me was important, and it was fun. What did you bring that day? Was there something? Because in my case,
Oh, I remember.
I brought a diffuser. I'm all about essential oils. So I brought a diffuser, and I remember like that was the smell of lavender in the room. So I did bring that, and with a good essential oil. obviously, like the one I use, doTERRA. Click, click. Anyway, so, and that helped me because I don't know, smell, the sense of smell is the first one that goes to your brain. So you want to have like a calm, calmness in your environment. So bring things that make you happy.
And that make you
Yeah,
calm and that make you in the
yeah, the
moment.
music, all
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
remember for me, I had, again, because of the hypnobirthing, they put me in a hypnobirthing birth room in the hospital that had like all these positive reinforcements on the wall. Like, you can do this, you're a special being, blah, 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 all that stuff. And I brought with myself a card that I got during my hypnobirthing class that said, it was like a woman like giving birth with like crazy hair, like, standing in like a yoga pose. And it was kind of like, no fear. The card said no fear, like just breathe. And I brought
I
that
like
card,
that.
and every time a little something, I was like, no, I'm capable. I can do this. And I really got into the moment, and I did it.
And
So
you're here, you're healthy with two
yeah,
beautiful boys. So, anyway,
yeah,
it was so great talking about something that's so special for us mommies. And again, it's different for everybody.
absolutely,
And and yeah, so if you want to say something, if you want to tell us about your birthing story, we would love to hear it.
absolutely,
So
yeah.
you can reach us at Mama's Dad Playground on Instagram and Mama's Playground on YouTube if you want to see us and if you want to see my imitation of the lady.
They're not going to be able to see you because you had the table in front
I
of
know,
you.
I know, I know.
But you can kind of visualize it, okay? So, yes.
So anyway, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until
Yes.
next time, Monica.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.